episode of Down with Daughtry, where I am joined with my fellow coworker, Miss Eileen Bayens. I am so happy to finally be doing this interview with you, Eileen.
Well, I'm happy to be here, Ida.
Yes, I have. We've had to reschedule a few times. We
Yes.
took a hiatus, guys. We haven't done an episode in a while, but I am happy to be sitting here with you for numerous reasons. As we'll let you guys know, Eileen is retiring from CASA, and so we're just going to introduce you to her and allow her to explain her journey. And it is quite one. It's very interesting. So, with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I have been with CASA now for 10 years and came to CASA by way of another career in the public school system as a teacher and administrator, mostly in the Bullitt County school system. And um, came to CASA to train volunteers and um, grow and become a part of this organization. I'm married, have lived in Statesboro for over 30 years and raised three children here, have seven grandchildren now. And as I've shared with many of our volunteers, the three children that my husband and I raised, we adopted out of foster care. So that brought CASA very near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely. Yes. And in those 10 years, I've known you probably seven, I
Hmm.
think. I think we met in, yeah,
Yeah,
2016. And you have definitely become a friend of mine. I call a friend. And um,
right back at you.
thank you. Thank you. And so you came on to CASA. And how has your perception of the role that you play here evolved over the years?
Well, when I first took on the job, I really thought training would be the primary role that I would be doing, much like I had done in the school system with staff development and training adult learners. And it grew to be much more than that. It grew to be supervising volunteers, actually working cases myself from time to time. And then in the last couple of years, I was able to do some parenting instruction through the supervised visitation network here. So it's been an interesting role.
Yeah, and it has evolved. That
Yes,
did, didn't it? From the beginning
yes,
to the end. Um, so in that training, and as you have done that, that was primarily though what you've done over the past
yes.
10 years is training. What strategies did you find most effective in training and preparing CASAs to become volunteers?
Um, I have found that sharing some of the real life experiences of the CASAs. Most particularly near the end of training, we have some of our currently serving volunteers come in and allow them to have kind of an open forum with the trainees and let them ask questions and share their experiences. And that gives the trainees a good picture of what CASAs do and what some of the challenges are for the CASAs. I think the training curriculum that we are currently using is very strong. It has a strong focus on trauma and trauma informed advocacy. The case studies are very strong. I think that gives the volunteers a good opportunity to kind of walk through a case from the beginning to writing a court report.
Yeah, because this is not a typical volunteership.
It
This
is
is
not. It is not. And I tell them that on the first night. If you thought this was volunteering at the food bank for a few hours a week or volunteering um, at, at the Rebecca's Kitchen or somewhere, it is a much different perspective on volunteering. It is hands on.
Indeed, it is, which really is a good segue into our next question, which is in what ways have you seen the CASA program make a positive impact on the lives of children and families in our community?
I truly believe in my heart that every CASA who has served a child in the Ogeechee Judicial Circuit has made some impact on that child or that family. The outcome is not always what we hope it will be. I have seen CASAs become discouraged or frustrated because they can't bring about the outcome that they desired from the beginning, but the impact is there. They made their voice heard. They brought to the forefront what the concerns were about the child. They always have to remember that their voice is one among many that the judge hears, and the judge has to put their recommendations and their concerns in the mix with everybody else's recommendations and concerns. The parents' attorneys, DFACs, their attorneys, and the judge weighs and makes decisions based on that. We just have to make sure that our voice is clear, that it's heard, and that we did the right thing by making the recommendations we do.
Yes, and that is definitely rewarding in itself because again, if the judge doesn't follow our recommendations, at least our job is done.
That's right.
Is doing what we feel
That's
is
right.
the best interest of
That's
that
what I tell
child.
volunteers when they say, well, why should I make a recommendation if it's not going to come out the way they think that it should? My response is always the same, because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, we just love our CASA
We do.
volunteers. They really are
Yes.
special people who advocate for children, foster children in our area, and most of them have been trained by Eileen for the
I,
past
I,
10 years.
I
I
think
mean,
everybody that we
yeah.
have now has been. There was a couple left when I first came here that I
Mm-hmm.
had not trained. They have since retired and moved on. But everyone that is currently serving is someone that I had the opportunity to get to know during training.
That is perfect. And so during that time, are there any lessons that you like to share that with future advocates and coordinators that you learned along the way?
Um, I, I think the best advice that I can give going forward is to just don't give up. Don't give up on a case. Don't give up on a child. Don't give up on a parent. Keep an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Always make sure that you're looking at every case individually, and that you're persistent. I think persistence is just the key word to being a CASA.
Absolutely. Persistence, staying in the game,
Yeah,
and also being unbiased. Like that is just something that really
absolutely.
is a good lesson to learn because it's easy to become biased.
It is, and it's easy to put your own personal perception of the world into a recommendation for a child. And CASA's one of the big lessons they have to grow into is being able to step away from themselves and view a family from the perspective of their needs and their own personal development. All families are different, and we can't make over families into our own image. That is not our role.
it's not.
Our role is to make recommendations for a child based on who their family is.
That's right, and where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. Well, I know that the CASAs that you trained are thankful for the lessons that you taught them and what you've instilled in them, and I'm sure they'll take
Well,
that with
I've
them.
learned many from them as well.
Well, so as you retire, what are your hopes for the continued success and growth for our program?
I would just love to see CASA become a bigger organization. We every time we train volunteers, we feel like we're just keeping pace with those who are ready to retire and step away. And I'd like to see us get more and more trainees into the program. I know that it is a very different kind of volunteer opportunity, as we said, but really find those volunteers out there and grow this program so that we become stronger and we become bigger and are able to serve more children. Our place in the court system, I think, has become stronger in the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
I think having those juvenile judges, those judges who can focus strictly on the needs of juvenile concerns, has been a big plus. And we're growing into that role as well. We're stepping into our part of that system. Strengthening our court report writing is one of the ways to do that.
Yeah.
Strengthening our court presence
Mm-hmm.
for volunteers, making sure that we are heard and that our recommendations are um, considered and respected.
Yeah. Well, we hope all that does happen, and a Christmas present would be that every foster child in our circuit had a CASA to advocate for them. So
Absolutely,
hopefully we'll get that
absolutely.
one year. And so get you to thinking about retirement years. What is your plan looking forward as you retire again?
Well, in the last few years, my husband has had some health concerns that brought us into focus about the uncertainty of one's future, and that you're only guaranteed today. So we have started thinking more about some travel. I've also taken on the responsibility of caring for my 93-year-old mother,
Yeah.
and that has changed our lives a little bit, and need some time to that. I'm also returning a little bit to some of my education roots, and
Okay.
have started supervising a few student teachers, and that has taken me back into the classroom a little bit, and into a different role, a little bit stressful, less stressful role than
Right.
CASA is. So I will do that for a little while, maybe another semester or so, and
Okay.
then probably truly retire. I always said I'll work till I get my credit cards paid off. I do. I like to shop.
Hey, it's therapy.
That's
It is
right.
retail
That's
therapy
right.
for sure. Well, I am definitely going to miss your presence
Oh,
here, but I look forward to how we can transition it once you retire and have some lunch dates at Chili's.
absolutely. Absolutely. And as I have told Ida, whoever will take over the role of training, I'm always available to substitute teach. So if I've ever needed, I am happy to be called upon. I will never lose my connection to CASA. While 10 years doesn't constitute an entire career with an agency, having spent 32 years in the school system, I know 10
Absolutely.
years seems only a portion of that. Um, I still feel very connected to this agency. I never dreamed that I would be here 10 years later, actually, but we'll never lose my connection nor my caring about the work that is done here.
Yes, well, you'll always have a home here, and we'll definitely put you on the substitute teacher roster,
Happy to do
okay?
it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
Well, thank you for having me.
and thank you
It's a
guys too
pleasure.
for joining us. See you later. Peace.